life is a supreme but, and I came.
Hi! Hello, ladies, gents, and weirdos creeping through graveyards. We are going to play today IRATUS, Lord of the Dead. A game that might have been designed to appeal to all my sensibilities. It is a game where you play as a necromancer raising hordes of the undead. Well, it's more like squads of the undead to battle through the realm of men and dwarves and maybe elves. I don't know what other races there are, but you progress through the game in Slay the Spire fashion, and then the gameplay itself, the battles are heavily inspired, perhaps you could even say even cloned from Darkest Dungeon, but in the best sense possible. The plan for this video is I'm going to start a new game, I'm going to show you how the game works, show the ropes, and then I'll load my current save game that is going very, very well. We'll play a little bit of that to see what you can expect, a little bit more advanced gameplay in the whole game, and then we'll finish up with the very first playthrough that I did that is in a failure state, and I can talk a little bit about the gripes, which are not very strong, but they definitely exist. So let's start the game in normal mode, which is more pain. You can choose to start with a pre-made squad, or you can just make your own. As a necromancer, you don't hire people. You have a whole bunch of parts, and you put together your minions to do battle. I have unlocked the game features some permanent progression. You start out only with, I believe, these 6. Yeah, it's these 6 that you start with, these 6 minion types. And then as you do stuff in the game, you go unlocking certain other classes. I still need to unlock all these 4 by using Wrath on ultimate abilities, luring vampires, which I still don't know how to do exactly, but I'm sure I'll find out eventually. Bone golems, just gathering more bones and then deal damage to your own minions. There is the rest of the classes you can unlock. I'm very impressed, like right away, I'm very impressed with the variety of different minions, and they all have their own flavor. The skill set is pretty damn distinct, and something I'm like, the thing that mainly drew me in. Let's create a bog standard, super normal damage dealing squad. Let's start with a Dark Knight. We have a whole bunch of really standard low quality. These are all common. You get better quality creating materials as you progress through the game. You just click that fill button so you don't have to do it manually. Craft a minion. There's the Dark Knight. Every one of these classes has a nice little description for them. An infestation of living void contained in a vessel of knightly armor. These necromantic soldiers are often seen leading the armies of the undead. Blah, blah, blah. I've read through them all. I really appreciate them. I really like the descriptions of these classes. Anyway, we have the Dark Knight. It is a pretty damn tanky type of guy. It doesn't have a whole lot of health, but a ton of armor to sustain a lot of punishment. We have the Bride of IRATUS. IRATUS. I will go back and forth saying IRATUS and IRATUS. I really don't know exactly the pronunciation it should be. I'm pretty sure it's IRATUS. But IRATUS, it just sounds more close to the word irate, because our necromancer protagonist is always pissed off. The Bride of IRATUS. She's pretty much a glass cannon type of thing. Agile. Lots of damage, but does not take a whole lot of damage. But she can evade most attacks if you build it up properly. Later, I will show you how you can, like every minion, you can give them equipment and upgrades, and you'll have different builds for your minions. Let's then create a zombie with our parts, weapons, armor, blood, and flesh. Make a delicious zombie. They are. Yeah, there you go. Now we can see the actual model. Really, really cool art style. I am very much into it. It's very like the fidelity is not very cartoonish, but they have this sense that the way they move, it's almost not really stop motion, but what was the creatures put together for different parts? I don't know how the actual term for it, but I really like it. I really like the look and feel of the art style. Very much into it. The zombies, they're not just mindless zombies. They carry a giant canon. Because they are literal. Cannon fodder! Oh, amazing. Anyway, another guy we're going to make, a skeleton. I don't really like the skeletons much. I know that they are good, but I just don't enjoy them very much. I like much better the vampires. The vampires are perhaps my favorite class so far. But we'll just put in that skeleton there because this is like the standard squad. There you are. And you can rename them. You can rename them all. We're going to kill this, call him Smiles. This buddy's going to be Roddy. Our friend over here is going to be Strongio. And here we have Jiggles. Alright. Let's go in to the dungeon proper. All these other things. Actually, we could go into the graveyard and already do something. Before we get into battle, I guess I should... there's a new... I'm not going to commit to this gameplay, so I'll do this after battle, but normally I would start by doing something here. We'll get into this after we do some actual fighting. The kingdom had need of the vast riches buried underneath the castle. Great veins of iron that promised to fuel conquest after conquest, along with ancient artifacts from a long-forgotten age. The dwarves were eager to offer their services in this project, bringing their untested mining equipment and experimental concoctions for the promise of wealth. They only needed bodies that could obey, that the humans would provide. With dungeons filled to the brim with both criminals and rebels, there was no shortage of slaves to work the mines. Drugs were used to keep them docile, and as they dug ever deeper, year after year, unaware of the mortal danger that awaited them below, and his name was IRATUS. Here we have the progression through the dungeon. Reminds you of something, doesn't it? This is very much like the Slay the Spire progression. The problem is, at least so far, in the current state of the game, there is small differences in the paths that you choose. They are all kind of the same. It really doesn't quite matter. There's no big distinction. There's small details. The main reason you want to choose one path over another is, do you want to encounter elite squads? If the answer is yes, then head for them. If the answer is no, just pick any other path, and you're not going to miss out on a whole lot. So anyway, let's simply go into our first battle, which will lead into our first fork in the road. Click on that icon, and here we have a very familiar sight, isn't it? It's very familiar if you are familiar at all with Darkest Dungeon. We have a 4-unit setup. They have each their own skills. They each get turns. In this game, you actually get the order in which everybody's going to go, and that matters a lot. I find myself looking at it all the time because you also have the option to wait until the end of the round. So, it's different. It's an evolution. I would certainly say it's not like... It did say that it's a clone at the beginning, but it's as much as a clone as Quake was of Doom. It's like, it's the same genre, but I think it puts its own twist into it to make itself distinct enough that we can say, yeah, it's its own game. It's not like it's aping egregiously. It is taking the formula and putting its own spin. We start with some mana. IRATUS gets some spells later on. We also have a wrath meter over here that will fill as we do damage. Let's simply pick some damage dealing abilities. All the other things that I can do right now are not very, very helpful. So the main spin that this game puts into the gameplay of Darkest Dungeon is, you see, there's no stress bar on our minions. They are all undead. They are unfeeling machines of death. The enemies, though, they have a stress bar, and you can choose to attack either or both. Let's just shoot an arrow at this man's face. Hopefully he will die as a pin cushion. They take their turns to attack our minions. All very, very standard stuff. It's very easy to understand. The skeleton is a guy that does mostly physical damage. His whole deal is that he cannot be buffed or debuffed. He's very resistant to... Well, he used to be very resistant to magic. They have changed that. This used to be enormously big. The game is, of course, in early access. So there's been already a whole bunch of patches since they since they released it. By the way, I should have said this at the very beginning. Full disclosure, I did not pay for this game. I was given a key for this, and I was meaning to play this much earlier. Let's just do this double strike. Our skeleton's not very accurate with his strikes, but he will eventually find a path for that sword to plunge into the enemy. I put this man in the 3rd position so that he could use the unfeeling aggression. See, if you hover over the skills, it will tell you the positions you can be in to use the skill, you know, very exactly the same as Darkest Dungeon. Only you can use this skill only in the last 2 rows. So he goes there and he goes forward. Some of you may notice. But to finish that, I was given a key. I wanted to play this game before, but I was only given the chance right now. But I've had a key. I've been able to play this game for a whole 10 days, I think. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the chance to record this until just now. But yeah, I did not pay for it, but I would have paid for it, I think. I would have definitely gone into it. And I think I do plan to pay for it. The problem now is that our friend, the zombie, our friend Roddy, cannot use most of his skills. This is not a very good squad because you want these two. Well, in the first 3, you want the skeleton actually to be switching back and forth here. But Roddy, he definitely wants to be in the first 2 positions. So I guess we'll just do bombardment. He has also a self buff. Bombardment, he is a stance. Enemies, I mean, your most or all of your minions. I think the vampire doesn't have stances. Yeah, so it's not all of them, but most of your minions are going to have stances in which they take the turn and they kind of do passive stuff, or rather like suppression fire, stuff like that, things that happen during the enemy's turn, or maybe a turn from now, like this one, bombardment at the start of your next turn. The zombie attacks 4 times each attack, dealing 50% of physical damage to a random remaining enemy. There's 2 damage types, physical and magical. We're going to pick bombardment, click on him, and he's going to kneel there, caressing his beloved cannon. Oh, anticipating that moment that he can bombard this filth, this human filth, trying to stop the undead tide from taking over these mines. We have accrued enough wrath through suffering and dealing damage, and now Jiggles can, on top of doing all her usual, here's another stance where she attacks whenever an enemy moves. I really like the skill set of a lot of these minions because you can do a lot of synergies. There's minions that will have abilities that move the party a lot, move the enemies. Like they're very mobility focused. So you can synergistically put that Overwatch and then use all these moving skills, and she will deal a ton of damage that way. Anyway, we have enough wrath to use Rose for a lady. It deals 50% damage to all of the enemy party, but it also inflicts a critical hit. One of the best abilities in the game I have found. Just shoots everybody with a critical hit, guaranteed to hit. It does a little bit of stress damage. Stress damage parties are 100% viable, except there are some enemies that are immune to stress. And that's a balance that I am a little ambivalent with, because let's just continue doing damage, and I'll keep talking while just picking skills out of the thing. The balance of stress dealing and stress damage dealing and physical damage. It's a little weird. Like, you kind of have to choose which one you want to use. There's not a whole lot of synergy between the both of them. Let's finish this guy with a cannonball to the face. You kind of have to choose between, oh, do I want to deal stress damage? Like, do you want to focus on that? If you pick a party that does only stress damage, you're going to be, I think, more effective to kill enemies that are susceptible to it. Like, if you can deal stress damage, they will eliminate the enemy faster than a physical damage party. But the problem is, if there's enemies that are immune to it, you are completely boned, and it's extremely difficult to get out of that situation. Anyway, we won. We got a whole bunch of new parts, including a weapon with +2 evasion, and these are used into the creation menu, and you can give the minions a little bit of a bonus of stats. That is very stats focused, the way that you make builds. There's also, I didn't get to level up any of them, so we'll do another fight here just to show how minions level up after that fight. Let's see. Let's just talk about builds first. It's hard to focus on exactly what I want to say and what I don't want to say. Actually, it's much better to just load the save game that I have, and I can show you the builds that I have built. So let's go back, and we're going to. Well, that's the basic stuff, right? That's all the basic stuff. You can then create better parts to create your minions. If you craft that, now we have another
alchemy.
green weapon. You can create a better skull. Oh, +2 to luck. Create another skull. +2 to evasion. Now I can use 2 greens. You create a blue one. +4 to vigor, +4 to accuracy. This is how you create better builds, and because you start just alchemizing everything together until you get the results that you want to give to your minions, and that way you can boost certain stats over others. It's a system that I absolutely adore. I love it. I am very stats focused. I love to just finagle the right amount of stats into my minions. It's something I get into. I have spent literal hours just trying to get the stats that I want to my minions. Let's go back to the main menu, and I'm going to load my current save game, and this is in easy mode. We start in normal mode. This is the current save game in easy mode. If I go to the alchemy lab, I have a few things that I have already created. You can also create, if you click on the different things, you can create equipment, which is pretty much just gear that you can give your minions. You can also convert some parts to a different part type. Let's go to the graveyard. I have built a whole bunch of stuff, and they're all like little buildings that give you benefits. The library, each minion studying in the ancient books gives IRATUS 35 experience. There's 2 brights of IRATUS in there. The obelisk gives you more parts to build buildings with. The dead lake enables you to maybe get a random item from the dead lake. The abode of wrath lets you start with more wrath. That is extremely useful in battle. Each minion exploring the ancient burial grounds finds a random part, which is the building blocks of your fellows. This gives you more mana after battles. This gives experience to the minions that are in the bench, waiting to go out, because you can only choose a squad every time. And my current save game, I have a damage. This is like my main damage dealing squad with the smartest, a headless knight. We have my ex-wife, a vampire, blood-sucking vampire. We have here your father, who is equipped with the steel spikes and a blood diamond, and he also have ectoplasm. And here is as they level up, you can choose upgrades to the skills that you use, and you can choose between one of two. Each side will give you a different bonus. Like, it will give you this passive stat increase, and it will also improve the ability in some way. You remember that big stab that we did from the back ranks with our Dark Knight? Well, you can either improve to deal, let's see. Yeah, this one does more damage depending on how much armor you have. Or if you don't like that, you can deal more damage depending on how many buffs or debuffs the target has. I think this one's worse, but you also have to balance it. Do I want this? Do I want the +3 to attack, so this man deals more base damage? So it's always these small decisions that really do matter. Most of the time, you're going to make decisions on the build that you want, especially certain minion types. You definitely want a certain type of build for them. Like here we have Nice Titties. She is a critical hit build. She has almost 50% chance of landing a critical hit. Pretty much all her equipment that I've been able to put together. Like, I have not been able to craft parts that give more critical hits, so I haven't upgraded them at all. But every one that I have been able to choose is all geared towards dealing more critical hit damage. So that's the progression of your minions. I very much like it. I really, really like that system. What else do we have here? We have T-Rose over here. She's the Screaming Banshee. And Ragman, He loves to... this is our my main stress dealing squad right now. I think I have them working in one of these guys. There's a wraith somewhere. Are you here? No? Are you here? I don't know what I did, but there's a wraith somewhere in between there, and there's also, I think I'm also using for the squad the zombie. It could also be the vampire in there. I don't know, but the stress dealing and the damage dealing, and then we have the skeleton making squad. That we can go into battle with the skeleton making with our friend Reanimator here, Stiff Boner, and Chaos Butler. They can go into battle next. Let's go to the dungeon, or rather, we'll just go back over here. What else is there? Our friend IRATUS also has his own talent tree with more experience. You know, you do battle, you get experience points. You spend them in your talent tree. You can either get heavy magic to cast spells during battle. You can. This is like passive out of battle kind of stuff, like rewards after it to get better results, better loot, and that kind of deal. Get just minion improving tools, and I would definitely recommend to get a bunch of these because you'd live or die by your minions. The magic helps a lot, but you'd live or die by the quality of your minions. What else is there? The creation, we have already seen that. We also have artifacts that you can equip IRATUS with. Is very, very nice to find good items. They range. The difference between the worst and the best is enormous. There's some really good stuff and some stuff that is complete garbage. So, you know, it's, luck of the draw. If you get a really good item, well, you're going to have a much better run. It's the nature of the roguelike. They also have consumables. Let's use one of these, a smoke bomb, that all my enemies will lose 15 accuracy until the end of combat. I have 2 of them. Why not use 1 right now? So there's equipment. Is there any other menus over here? I think I have explained the entirety of the thing. There's an encyclopedia here. When you kill enough of the enemies, you can read. Each one has a nice little description. It's kind of humorous. I like the tone. Like I feel there's a little bit of a tonal dissonance in this game. The descriptions are a little cartoony, but the art style is mostly pretty damn serious. Well, there's a little bit of a whack going on over here, but for the most part, it's like very dark fantasy kind of stuff, but the tone of the descriptions is a little cartoony, Terry Pratchery. So, not saying it's bad, it's just a little strange of a dissonance there. Anyway, let's go into the dungeon. I have progressed into the second level, through the mines, into the dwarf tunnels. I am very, very close to the final boss of this entire enormous spire that we have progressed through. Let's go into battle there. We're going to choose a build that I am a little weirded out by. Like, I am a little confused that this even works, but I have been using it pretty damn successfully. Hopefully we don't get just utterly trounced in the instance that I get to play with in front of you fellas. Let's go in there. And the way that this party works. Okay, yeah, there we go. It was processing the battle, I guess. The way this party works, you may notice there's a slot missing. I'm only going in with only 3. Well, our friend the Lich, he's able to create skeletons. And he also has an ability that kills a minion and super heals everybody else. So I figured, why not just go in there without I don't know if this is the way you're intended to use him, but I really, really like it. This playstyle of go in there with a missing minion and you just summon. Of course, he can only do it with 60 wrath, and I only have 24. So, pretty damn important to get that wrath going. To do that, we can use one of our spells. I already have 7 of them here. You can use one of our spells, like such as this one. Fate. Target minion next attacks will be a critical hit. So we're going to use it on our friend Chaos Butler. And now he'll do massive damage with this attack. Critical hits. I feel like the critical hits are a little imbalanced because critical hits ignore all armor and wards. Do you see these number 3 and this number 2 right here? This means he will block 3 physical attacks and he will block 2 magical attacks, which means that for 5 potential attacks will be completely ineffectual. Critical hits completely negate that, so you can just kaboosh and do a whole bunch of damage that way. It was not very impressive at all because their health pool is pretty damn high. Pretty damn high. I really like Stiff Boner when they manage to get to the back. Like the skeleton, you will always pick this upgrade to the Shield Bash because it stuns the target for a turn. Unlike Darkest Dungeon, stuns are extremely rare. There's only a couple classes that can actually do them kind of reliably. So our friend Stiff Boner is able to get those stuns, and now this Golden Golem, who is completely immune to stress damage and almost immune to magical damage. It has to be all physical damage to kill this thing. Is now stunned us. Will not do anything next turn. This guy is quite the danger. We're going to put some corrosive cloud right around them. The Lich class is very weird. It's a strange class. It buffs your other minions. Like I said, it kills one of the minions to heal the others. It does random damage to a random enemy. But the corrosive cloud is perhaps the absolute best ability that he has. The problem is, though, it's stress damage in a physical damage dealing party. But still, though, very useful stuff. We're going to put it right there because it's in the middle of the people that are going to move around. And putting down the cloud, as enemies move in and out of that cloud, they're going to get even more stress damage. When the enemy stress goes down far enough, there you go. Do you see that he moved back and he got warded? Our friend the Chaos Butler also got warded because he had one ward. With enough stress damage, enemies go insane and they get a debuff of some sort, or they can get inspiration, just like in Darkest Dungeon. Fortunately, though, I have an item that prevents that from happening. Anyway, we are here with Chaos Butler. I think we just want to deal damage to the Golden Golem, try to get rid of her as soon as possible. His Abyssal Hunger is enabled, which will be able to heal him up, but it's completely worthless right now. He's a hybrid stress and damage and physical damage dealer. He's also extremely helpful to gain back mana for IRATUS whenever you don't have much to do. But for the time being, we have one spell to use for this round. I don't think I want to use the critical hit ability right now. So what we're going to do, perhaps simply cause stress damage to this fellow. Try to kill him through stress. Between the cloud and the stress is going to happen pretty nicely. Maybe make a spine bomb over there, because she is very likely to remain. She's very likely to remain in the first slot. So we're going to put down a spine bomb here that in 2 turns will explode and do 50 damage to whoever's standing there. It's a delayed action, but hopefully it will go off to great effect. So do we want to do stress damage to this guy and hopefully kill him that way, or at the very least render him kind of useless? Or do we want to concentrate physical damage on the golem? Since this barely does much damage at all, I really don't like it very much. This attack is kind of weak. I'm going to just deal a lot of stress damage to this fellow over here and hope that he goes nuts. No insanity triggered. Thankfully, we can do Bony Bully again. See, even the name of the abilities is also kind of cartoonish. Embrace Mediocrity. Very cool name. Smite the Show-Offs. Shield Banger. Anyway, Bony Bully just stun the golem again. Kapoosh. And hopefully... No, it doesn't push them back. It's silly. This stupid Ultra bitch is trying to mark everybody, and the mark does any damage received is doubled. So it's kind of a big deal. Let's summon some cheap bodies. And here comes our first skeleton to do damage to our bastards. He got an acid bomb, which means it loses all armor and resistance. That is a lot. That is that's very important to remove. Debuffs and buffs are, I would say, definitely more prominent than they are in Darkest Dungeon. A lot of the debuffs in Darkest Dungeon you can just ignore. In this one, though, you kind of want to remain on top of them, because this is a class that needs a lot of armor to survive. The health pool is very, very low. It relies on the armor. So we're going to remove those buffs. We get a little bit of mana that way. You may not have noticed that there's no way to move your minions from one position to the next. All you can use is the abilities, and every minion will have a mobility ability. There is a lot more thinking involved in the position of your minions. It matters a lot more how you position them, because you need to think, what abilities do I need to use in order to move around? Like, the only way I can move forward is by using the shield bash. I guess we will attack. I guess we can work on these shields. The shield bash is not going to do a whole lot right now. It does interrupt stances, and this is a stance going on right now. If I let it go off, it will do a whole lot of damage to everybody. Unfortunately, unless he scores a critical hit, this is not going... Oh, that's right, he is in the third row. Never mind. If I were able to attack him, I probably still wouldn't have done anything, because he has 3 shields, so I would have needed a critical hit. Oh man, that's a crit right there. See, there was a 7 damage to stress. So that's how that's another way of dealing stress damage, by scoring critical hits. Let's do just more damage to the golden golem. Do that double attack right there. The double attack, you want to use it when there's no armor involved. You evil piece of garbage. There is the big AoE attack. Not very consequential though. That was not terrible. That was not terrible. We can take a few of those, especially since we have the Lich here to destroy our summoned skeleton whenever we need to. What the hell was that? I don't know. But he's immune to debuffs. -5 to spell, to attack, -5 to dread, which is the damage for the stress attacks. Okay, so we have our friend here. He can do Armageddon, deals 75% damage of his damage to all allies and enemies. It also sets everybody on fire. The nice part about this party, these skeletons are immune to the setting on fire part, and then on the next round, he can just destroy my skeleton and heal the damage that he's been dealing. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the Armageddon Reanimator. Look at that, immune, completely immune, but he is on fire. That's bad. Oh, there's the bone prison thingy going off. That was pretty damn cool. We're going to save fate for this friend so he can score a critical hit. I'm a little worried about the health total here of our friend, of Chaos Butler. Let's see if we can get this double attack to kill the golem. That's not gonna be enough, is it? Almost there, almost there. 5 health remaining. Let's give him fate.
Death
Get that critical hit to score. And just like in Darkest Dungeon, if you have the opportunity to kill an enemy, take it. It doesn't matter that 23 of that damage was wasted. It's gone. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Our friend here, our poor alchemist, has gone completely insane. Now he is weak. Loses 5 initiative, which, you know, is the order of the turn that you go in. Damage dealt is reduced by 25%. Damage received is increased by 25%. So, you know, it doesn't completely destroy them, but it's a very, very helpful debuff. Here's our friend Stiff Boner. He can get another stun off. He's not going to, unless he scores the critical hit here, he's not going to disable this. But I think, yeah, I'll just do this. I'll just stun her. I think it's time to sacrifice one of our boners. Sacrifice the boner so that we get that health back. Cannon Father kills an ally. We have this nice little icon telling us that this is the skeleton that we summoned. Well, see you later, friend. You have been dealt 2,700 damage and everybody gets healed. It's fantastic. Really, I really like this composition. It's not immediately obvious that you can have a team like this with one less. Oh man, it's a freaking text message going on, but I don't care about it because I'm a very professional YouTuber. What do we want to do with this guy? He can do more stress damage. I mean, he's dying though. I was going to say, let's just do stress damage until he dies. They can die from heart attacks. Whenever it goes all the way down, then they have it's like a death blow kind of thing. It's exactly the same mechanic as in Darkest Dungeon, except this against the enemy instead of it being prone with your own minions. So I guess we'll just do the physical damage. Let's just destroy one of those freaking blocks. It's a pain in the ass to get through these blocks. It feels all the time really bad. The dual strike though, very, very helpful for exactly that.
This will be.
Oh, that's right. He has the upgrade. He did 3 attacks there. Let's see if we can click on our friend here. He needs to let the enemies go. There you go. I gave him the upgrade. Performs additional attacks for each buff on the target. So it's because he was buffed. Bolstering Vapor of a 50% damage. Predict. Because he was buffed. Our friend Stiff Boner got an extra attack there. So let's summon another skeleton. We have enough wrath for it. It's another body to withstand the punishment. Standard skeleton stands ready and serving. All right. Get that shield bash. This friend over here is almost dead, but let's get rid of the block. Unfortunately, does not get rid of the stands. He has 2 buffs in, so I think the Smite show-offs is a very, very helpful thing. Fate, I have used it before. I was like, oh man, I'll get 4 critical hits if I do that. It doesn't work that way. For some reason, it just doesn't. It doesn't work that way. I tried to use it and the critical didn't work. I don't know if it's a bug or is the way it's meant to be because it was deemed too OP. I don't know. Otherwise, I mean, alternatively, I could try to kill this guy. He will get attacked 3 times. 4 attacks on this guy, 3 attacks on this guy. Now let's just get 4 attacks. Like, this is exactly what I have this build for. So, 1, 2, 3. No. Oh, this doesn't count as a buff, huh? Only the icon like this counts as a buff. Well, I've learned something new today. Let's give our friend that critical hit. Extremely helpful. I am running a little low on mana, and it's not something that you gain very easily. There you go. The alchemist has been destroyed. Some stress damage also dealt. Feed the void. All these damn buffs. I wish I could get rid of them, but I can't right now. I have no wrath. There's not much I can do. I can do Command the Undead for more damage to our skeletons or our friend over here. Or I can just do Bone Shards, which will do damage to one of them. It will just get rid of a ward. That's all that Bone Shards is going to do here. So I think I'll just give extra damage to our bony friend. I think it will be more effective than just getting absolutely nothing out of it. So I don't want to give it to him because he will be moved forward and then I won't be able to use the shield bash. So we'll give it to him. He's immune because I'm an idiot. He's immune to buffs and debuffs, so I just wasted that move. That was a ton of damage, and I feel a little worried about the state of affairs right here. Let's use a nice stun on the big fat piece of garbage. You belong in the grave. Stop it. Stop it with the buffs and the nonsense. That's so many upgrades there. This is the guy that is not going to do not get buffed. His ultimate ability that costs wrath is a stress attack. It's kind of dumb. I feel like this is a purely physical damage based minion. Why include a stress attack as the ultimate ability? I feel like that is a little strange. It's a little strange of a design choice for the skeleton.
Last few heartbeats.
Why did he attack 3 times? He is buffed. That was kind of weird. Oh, because it's the summoned one. He doesn't have that upgrade. Derp. Yeah, let's heal up. I'm feeling a little worried for Dark Butler over here. Do we want to heal up? Or do Armageddon? I mean, they're warded, so it will do literally nothing. We'll just do Bone Shards. It will attack a random enemy and get rid of a ward. That's absolutely nothing. Skips the turn, guts a regeneration annoyance. But, okay, this is the double attack guy. Do we want a spell? I think I need to save my mana right now. So let's just do damage to this guy. The stupid regeneration is really frosting my cookies. Might as well use the Abyssal Hunger to heal him up and not care about our summon here. Does damage to everybody and heals him up. Very, very handy. There's not a lot of support in minions of the undead. There's not that many classes that can restore health. That's why I like this composition a lot, because this man can self-heal and he can sacrifice the summon for that extra health. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. He hit 3 times. That's so nice. Excellent. This stupid bitch just needs to get destroyed. Oh, well, she was like, I'm out of here. Fled the fight. Do not blame her. All right. Got the rewards. A bundle of dynamite. Very nice. This is a consumable that deals damage at the start of the fight. Some more parts to build more stuff. Some parts to build people. And a brain, which you're putting in a minion that you just created, levels them up to level 5. It's extremely helpful, especially starting on. Or when you wipe and you're like, oh shit, I don't have any more people, but I have this brain over here. I can make a new minion that is level 5. And so far, I've only been able to level up to level 6. The graveyard has granted me 24 mana because I have all those people doing things, 70 experience from the library, a couple more parts to create more minions. And the people that were in the arena have perhaps gained enough experience to level up. Let's find out. No level? Ah, our vampire over here, Mr. Suck. She has a new level that she can expend. What kind of build am I creating here? I forget from one to the next. Seems like I have been focusing on giving them more health and then a little bit of luck. It does seem like these upgrades are not very good for such. For either of those, we can choose to do more damage with this ability. Auspex, I think, is like the best ability in the game that I have found. All attacks against the target ignore both block and ward until the battle ends. You saw those wards and blocks, how annoying they are. This ability gets rid of them completely for the rest of the game unless they manage to clear debuffs. So you definitely want this. Let's see. I can also upgrade it for it to have an accuracy debuff. I think that is fantastic. If we give her more accuracy, it goes to a point where increases the chance of hitting targets with evasion. So I think that's fine. Target loses 10 evasion, 20 accuracy, 10 evasion. I think this is a fine upgrade to get. Well. So that's how you level up. Oh, incredible exemplifying of how you level up people. Isabella over here. I think this is the weirdest class that I've unlocked so far. She does stress damage, but then buffs the enemy. And then she has the ultimate ability that sucks those buffs and gives buffs to your own. I feel is the hardest minion to use. I wouldn't say it's bad, it's just a really hard to use a minion. Is strange. Anyway, there's IRATUS so far. There's the boss fight. I'm not going to go into the boss fight. Come on. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's an extremely annoying, awful boss fight that a very nice segue. We're going to go back to the main menu. As the ending of this video, we're going to load my very first playthrough. And I am stuck. This is a failure state. And this is one of the gripes that I have with the game. I know that Darkest Dungeon does the same, where you get to this point where like, I either grind. The thing is, in Darkest Dungeon, you can choose to grind out of the rut. Like, I don't think that you can ever get to a complete loss situation because you can always get newbies from the stagecoach, right? In IRATUS, there is a failure state, and it feels like a soft lock, and it's so frustrating. And I don't know how to fix it because it's just the way the game is built. I have wiped twice in this boss fight, and I am in a position where I don't have minions left, and I don't have parts to create minions. So I'm like, I guess I'll just die then. And it's a roguelike. It's supposed to have a failure state. There should be some way to make it a little bit more final instead of you feeling like, oh, I guess I'll just abandon it. Let's go into the boss fight. It's extremely... Actually, I don't feel good going to the boss fight. I don't want to spoil the mechanics for you. But it has wiped me twice because it's very strange. And that is the other gripe that I have with the game in the current state. Again, early access, everything already has received a bunch of patches that have changed a lot of stuff. So any complaint that I have is going to be a soft complaint because everything that I've seen is stuff that can be easily tinkered with. And they have a lot of room to adjust things to get rid of frustrations and bad gameplay that make you feel bad. The problem with this fight, I first went in with a stress damage dealing party, And that's completely worthless in the fight. It's literally worthless. You need to do physical damage or bust. So that was a wipe. And then I went with a physical damage dealing party, and I also failed to kill it because it's a very strange, frustrating fight that I you kind of have to learn how to play, and still you might just not think of the right party composition. And of course, when you go in blind, you have no idea what to fight it with, and that's not really, I would say, it's a design fault, because something you can do in this game, something that I really enjoy as a mechanic that I don't use much, but I like that it's there. You can get a level 1 skeleton or whatever minion, like later on the regular parts. You will not be in this situation where I am almost out of them. Like most of the time, you're going to have plenty of parts. You can definitely spare 4 of them. You can just go with the skeleton and go in there with your level 1 skeleton, and at the very least, blah 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 blah, you can go into the fight and be like, okay, what the hell is going on over here? You start clicking on things, and you can maybe find out how this fight works. And all you did was sacrifice a skeleton. You can always choose to abandon the battle, but then you will lose the current squad. So it's it's a bad thing to do. You definitely don't want to do that. But it's a pretty damn cool way of handling scouting if you are unsure of what you're going to face next. Most of the time, you're going to have a party that is mostly effective at what you want to do, unless it's a pure stress dealing, and then you get 4 golems that takes 0 damage from stress. Then you're in big doo-doo. So the thing is, let's just abandon that this fight. The thing is, the icon, there will be an icon that will show you like the most powerful creature in there. There could be a golem in there, and you will not be able to deal stress damage to them. But if it shows the face of a human, you know that at the of a flesh bag, you will know that at the very least there's going to be enemies that you can deal stress damage to. Anyway, that is IRATUS, Lord of the Dead. I was considering making this into a series because I love this game. I love it. I don't know though, because it's early access. A lot of things keep changing. I don't know if I want to make it into a series. I'm still undecided, but love the theme, love the gameplay. The main problem that I have right now with the game is this screen. Not the screen itself, but the way that progress happens. This is my main piece of feedback on this game. It doesn't feel consequential enough, your choices here. You choose a path and the other path feels almost exactly the same, because the rewards don't really change. You see, I chose this path, and there was one of these, and there was one of these too. There was one of these, I think, and there was also a quest, And you have no way of choosing whatever is going to be more beneficial to you. It's just pick one at random. Oh, do you want to avoid the elite squads? Yeah, so pick this instead. So that's the main criticism that I have right now. Make this more meaningful. I don't know how to do it. And in fact, it's something that I have kind of learned through my experiences, is that critics are kind of bad at suggesting how to fix something, but are really good at pointing out problems. So here's the problem. This is not meaningful enough. Work on it. Get on it. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you like this. Do I recommend this game? I do. Asterisk. Early access. I'm always very reluctant to recommend anything in early access. I feel that this game is already really, really good. It has all the bases. I think it goes up to here, Mercenary Barracks, and then it just, available after release. These 2 other worlds or terrains or levels that you can go through, it's not there. So this is all you can play through in the early access stage. Very standard fare, is very reasonable to see this. They still had to put that in, and they are early access, all this stuff, all the gameplay mechanics are all there. As far as I can tell, of course, they can always add more. But if you like what I say, if you think it's worth the $20-25 that they're selling for in early access, go for it. If not, just wait. Like, there's plenty of games out there. I am having a great time with it. That's all I can tell you. have encountered 0 bugs so far, which is remarkable for early access. I have read on the Steam forums, though, that there are some people finding bugs and they have to restart. But I don't know if I've been lucky or I am the general experience of IRATUS, but I have encountered 0 bugs so far. So anyway, that's it. That's IRATUS for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. I think it's $25 right now in early access. Check it out if you please. If not, stick around for the next piece of content that you see in the Blarg land. Have a good time raising the minions of the undead.